Phase 5 of the MCU is officially underway with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Man, I'm looking forward to talking about this with you guys. This, of course, was directed by Peyton Reed, who is completing his Ant-Man trifecta in this universe, and it once again brings back Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, everybody you've loved from the past, while also introducing Kathryn Newton as an older version of Scott Lang's daughter, Cassie, and of course, the one and only Jonathan Majors as the next big baddie, Kang the Conqueror. So basically, our heroes find themselves exploring what else? The quantum realm. They're interacting with strange new creatures, and they're embarking on an adventure that pushes them beyond the limits of what they thought was possible. Now, I've heard all the polarizing feedback this movie has received. This is only the second Marvel movie in history to actually be a rotten one on Rotten Tomatoes, and the advertising for this thing was really pushing the debut of Jonathan Majors, and they were saying, look, this is going to be a very important character moving forward. And Kevin Feige himself has stated that Quantumania might just be the most important project to the multiverse saga so far. And I definitely see where he's coming from with that, because, okay, let me just throw this out there. I liked this movie. I didn't love it. I liked it. There's a difference. And I know someone's going to probably go down in the comments and say that someone paid me to say that, but, I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. That's just my opinion. I'm a human being, you know? Peyton Reed's direction is once again very solid. All the returning performers, I think, do their jobs really well. Michael Douglas is once again fantastic as Dr. Hank Pym. Michelle Pfeiffer particularly is really good in this movie. My man Paul Rudd, Mike from Friends, is once again absolutely hilarious as Scott Lang. He is absolutely knocking it so far out of the park with this role. But what I really think it boils down to is that Quantumania is a story of two halves. You have the second half, which honestly, I could go as far as saying was phenomenal, and I'll explain why that is. But then you have the first half, which is throwing so much at you. And that's a lot of people's big problem with Quantumania, is that it's pretty much a setup movie for the future of this dynasty. Lots of very heavy exposition dump sequences, along with the typical liar reveal cliche with one of these characters. But once you get to that second half, and once you get Kang the Conqueror into the action, oh man, was I riveted. And while I'm on him, let's talk about Jonathan Majors real quick, because this is a performer that I've been following his career since The Five Bloods, and I've always loved every single part that he stepped into. He is always willing to give it his all. Who, man, does he? This is a great MCU villain. That's something that I feel like ever since the Infinity War saga came to a close, that's something that Marvel's been doing really strong, is they've actually implemented some great villains into the mix. I can think of Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher, Tenoch Huerta as Namor. I think Kang might be the best out of all of them so far. The inflections that Jonathan Majors has and just his subtle eye movements in here, this is a brilliant actor. Damn, does he bring the menace? Like, just even hearing his name when he's not on screen, it's this whole build-up throughout the first act. I love the fact that it feels like there's this impending doom on the movie. Like, there's no escaping the inevitable here. And I think that's something that this script does really well. But at the same time, you also have a bevy of exposition sequences that actually set up this new big baddie. And you have so much of that Ant-Man and the Wasp kind of feel like afterthoughts by comparison. And that really sucks, because there's a lot of really great family dynamics being explored in Quantumania, especially as it goes with Kathryn Newton, who gives a great performance as Cassie Lang. You certainly buy that her and Paul Rudd are father and daughter in here, and they have a lot of very funny and very genuine moments together. But gosh, no spoilers of course, but there's a lot of setup with even just her character. It feels incredibly rushed. Like, it just feels like, oh, okay, you have this now. Cool. Yeah, let's go do it. That's kind of what this script felt like to me. A lot of these side characters that are being introduced just feel like complete afterthoughts in the grand scheme of things. Dr. Hank Pym, complete afterthought. There is one running joke in here involving Dr. Pym that they are really trying to get over in this script. And I thought it was fine. I mean, it's not as funny as he was in the first movie for sure. As I've mentioned, Michelle Pfeiffer is integral to this movie, and she is living up to the task. While I'm on the topic of legends, you have Bill Murray in this movie for some reason. Like, it's a very brief appearance. If you're a hardcore Bill Murray fan and you have no idea what the MCU is all about, and you go in there expecting a lot of Bill Murray, you're probably going to leave disappointed. And I'll save my further thoughts and comparisons to other projects in the spoiler review, but I've noticed that one thing people tend to gravitate towards in reviews for this movie is the comparisons to Star Wars. Peyton Reed has also directed some of the best episodes of The Mandalorian, so this should come as no surprise. A good amount of this character design, the production design, and the costumes, it feels straight out of Star Wars. Even Kang's presence and the impending danger that he carries and just the poise that he has, it does remind you a lot of Darth Vader in a way. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if it necessarily makes Quantumania stand out amongst the rest though. While I thought the direction was fine, I thought the CG was a little bit inconsistent, because when you actually go into the quantum realm and they're throwing all of these amazing ideas at you and the wackiest of natures, there's some really cool stuff in here. There's also some CGI in here that is horrendously bad and super distracting. A lot of these things flying around feel like they came out of Strange World, which also is a Disney property. But one character I've left out up to this point that a lot of people know is in this movie is MODOK, which is an acronym. God, I hated this guy. I hated him so much. This script is unfortunately a really, really big fan of MODOK, and there was a lot more of him in there that was... I mean, you could have eliminated him, and you could have made it more about the dynamic between Scott and Cassie. That would have been awesome. But no, you have this guy who looks like he's fresh out of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I wish I was kidding. When this MODOK unmasks himself and reveals his secret identity, which I will not spoil on the air, it is legitimately the stuff of Marvel nightmares. I think MODOK was in the wrong movie. Put him in the Multiverse of Madness. Sam Raimi could have had a lot of fun scaring people with MODOK. So yeah, honestly, Quantumania is a bit of a mixed bag. There's some stuff in here that is really phenomenal, amongst the best of the best that Marvel has done. Kang the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors' performance, I want to see more of him, and I cannot wait to see him develop into the big new Thanos, essentially. I enjoyed the family dynamics as sparse as we got it. The jokes in here are pretty funny for the most part, but you gotta muddy through a bunch of exposition in that first half to get to a really exciting and riveting second half filled with Kang the Conqueror. And you know what? Yeah, I'll address it. I've never really subscribed to the idea that this was meant to be a trilogy. Nobody's ever really confirmed that this was the last Ant-Man movie, for sure. We all thought Civil War was going to be the last Captain America movie, and we're getting another one next year. So I think as it sits as a premiere for Phase 5, this is decent enough. I certainly don't hate this movie, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. If only there were certain characters and their scenes that I could fast forward through, though, to escape the bad dreams. I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania a B-. I also love how people complain about Ant-Man 2 being just pure filler after Infinity War, and then when they actually don't get filler in Quantumania, then there's something else to complain about. I know the cool thing is to hate on Marvel now, but no matter what, I'm still going to be a big fan of these movies. I always have been, and I always will. But let me know what you thought of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania down in the comments section below. Is this your most disappointing Marvel project to date? What is your most anticipated to come out of Phase 5? Especially seeing as how these projects are going to be spread out a little bit more to make them stand out. The Marvels, for example, was just announced to be coming out on Veterans Day weekend in November, pushed back from a July release date. Of course, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out in May, and that's, oh man, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for that, guys. But if you're new to the channel, if you love discussing all things geeky like in the MCU, do consider becoming a subscriber and tap on that bell so you don't miss another second of this quantifying action. Do me a solid and smash that like button as well. This really, really helps continue to grow this so amazing community that we've already built together. And guys, stay tuned for more exciting videos hitting this channel very, very soon. Look out for my review next week of Cocaine Bear. And all throughout the month of March, it's going to be sequel month, apparently, with Creed 3, Shazam 2, and all this good stuff. Should be a lot of fun, guys. But y'all are the best. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.